Hi guys, welcome to In the Game Room episode number 2. This is going to be a fairly short one as I've got a long video coming up in just a couple of days. I'm still kind of working out some of the logistics here. I noticed last time on the video, watching it back, every time I touched the table in any way, the microphone picked it up, so I've got it on some felt this time, hopefully to dampen that a little bit. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of learning as I go. But this time I want to take you through real quickly my workflow for getting metal miniatures, pewter miniatures, ready for painting. In the molding process, when miniatures are made, they're handled a lot by people when they're getting packaged. They may have some residue on them of the molding process, this powdery talc that's used in molding. Some of that may be on the model, and these things will inhibit paint from sticking. And then of course when you get the miniatures, you're probably going to be trimming off little bits of flash here and there and getting them ready for painting, and you're going to be getting your grubby little fingers all over them, and your fingers are very oily, whether you know it or not, and that oil transfers onto the models. So you're getting oil all over these when you're touching them. So once you've done everything you need to do to your models, you want to clean them. And it's really simple to do. The way I do it is I have one of these screens that's used in the kitchen when you're frying things in oil and you don't want the oil splattering everywhere. It's a very fine mesh screen that you put on top of whatever you're cooking, and it keeps the oil from going everywhere. So I set my models on the screen and then spray them with a cleaner. Now you can use a industrial degreaser like the Zep here, but I've found something that works really well for me, and that's Windex. There's two reasons why I use Windex. The first, most obvious reason is the first time I reached underneath the kitchen sink into the cupboard to get something out, this was the first thing I grabbed and I used it. But also, Windex or any window cleaner is designed to get something clean and not leave any residue behind, and that's important. So it won't leave anything on your model that you don't want on your model. If you use something like an industrial degreaser, you're going to have to really rinse these very well afterwards, where it's not as critical with the Windex. So what I do is I just spray the models from a couple of different angles, maybe even flip them over and spray the bottoms, and just let them sit for about a minute and just let the Windex do its thing. And then I just spray them off with hot water and get them very clean, turn them over, keep spraying them down with hot water, and rinse off all the Windex or whatever cleaner you're using. Once that's done, I'll let them sit for a minute, kind of do this a little bit to get some of the water through. This is a very fine mesh screen, so sometimes the water could just kind of sit on top, it won't even go through. So then what I do is I take a little plastic tray lined with a bunch of paper towel, and putting on some plastic gloves, I'll move them from here into here and just let them sit and dry, just air dry naturally for an hour or so, or whatever it takes, or till tomorrow or whatever. And then once they're all dry, then I can take them out into the shop and spray them with primer. Now, primer. I've been doing this a very long time. I've tried hundreds of different primers. Some have worked, some have not worked, some have worked better than others. But recently I've discovered this primer here, made by a company called Duplicolor. This is available in most of your auto parts stores if you live in America. Overseas, I don't know what you'll find. But for my American friends, this Duplicolor white primer, it's their part number DAP 1689. This stuff is really great, and I'll tell you why. A lot of times primers, especially your gray automotive primers, sandable primers, they go on very thick. And when you're dealing with 285th scale miniatures, 6mm, or even like 15mm miniatures, the smaller scales, a thick primer is going to destroy a lot of detail. It's going to make the detail less sharp. So you don't want that. The thing I like about this primer is it goes on very, very thin and still does its job. It's funny because they call it a sandable primer, And a sandable primer is something that I normally associate with a very thick primer that builds up a lot of thickness, and then you could sand it. This may do that if you put on enough coats, but a single coat, it's definitely not going to build up any thickness. So I'll take my miniatures that I've cleaned up, put them on a little, I have these little round pieces of wood that I've cut out because they sit on a Lazy Susan and I can turn them. And I'll just spray them from all different angles. If I have to, I'll turn them upside down and spray them and let them dry, and then turn them back over and spray the top. And just one light coat is all it takes to get a nice light white coat of primer on the models. So that's my procedure. Once they get to this point, I'll let them dry for a good long time, or if I'm in a big hurry, I'll hit them with a heat gun and accelerate that drying. And then I can paint them with whatever I want, water-based paints or whatever. Normally airbrush the base color and then do some hand painting for camouflage or other things. But that's the system that works for me. Everybody has their own system. Everybody has their own products they like to use, whether it's a cleaner or a primer. So if you have a different system that works well for you, please don't assume that my system is the best for everybody. It's the best I've found so far. If you have another system, please go to the comments down below and let us know how you do it. If you have a primer that you like, everybody does, please let us know what you like and why. If you a cleaner that you like, let us know. But the most important thing here is whatever you do, don't just take a raw metal miniature out of the package and start putting paint on it. That's not going to work out well for you, because these get handled, they get played with, they get turned over, they get beat up, and that paint is going to come off and you're going to be upset. Or maybe you're not going to be upset and you don't care. That's fine too, but I care. I like my miniatures to look good, and I like them to look good for a while. So just a couple of minutes of prep work before you start painting will ensure that your models last a good long time. So again, in the comments below, let me know if you have a primer you like, if you have some kind of cleaning agent you like, or if you just think I'm completely full of crap and you just take your models out of the package and spray them with green and be done with it. Whatever your opinion is, I want to hear it so we can share that with everybody. So that's it for today. I've got another episode planned for this coming Tuesday, tentatively planned for this coming Tuesday, which will be a much longer, more in-depth episode with a guest. Have to point to the empty chair. So that'll be fun. And that's it for now. That's Alan from the Game Room, and we'll see you next week, fairly early in the week, hopefully. And have fun gaming. Thanks for watching.